Hi guys, let's talk today. How do you introduce two dogs together that don't seem to like each other? Examples could be friend asks you to watch their dog, but your dog doesn't like that dog. Or you decided to start fostering for a shelter, but your dog gets weird around other dogs. Or maybe your friends are visiting you and you know that their dog might be not okay with your dog or your dog might not be okay with their dogs. I'm a dog trainer and behavior specialist in San Francisco Bay Area, and here's how I would approach this. First of all, we assume that both dogs don't have any major bite history towards other dogs, because if they do, there is still a way to introduce dogs, but that's a completely different story. We're talking dogs who are mildly weirded out, dogs who are picky, who are a little bit dog selective, maybe a little bit leash reactive, but no bite history. And also, obviously, no dogs needs to be introduced using a special training protocol. If you know your dog is okay, if you know another dog is okay, just introduce them. At the same time, if you know your dog is more picky or another dog might be a little bit more reactive, don't just put them in one room and hope for the best or hope that they're going to figure it out on their own. Another mistake that I've seen, people would put two dogs in a small space, in a small room, or even in a crate together, hoping that this way they're gonna become friends. Unfortunately, this can backfire. What is the right way to introduce? Before that, let's understand why we might even have some issues with dogs needed to be introduced in a certain way. So dogs, they can be territorial. So if you bring another dog into your house, if it doesn't happen too often, your dog might say like, wait, who is this person? Who is this dog? Why they're in my house? I need to protect my house. Some dogs may have resource guarding. For example, they might be okay with another dog coming to their house, but they're gonna get super antsy because they don't want other dogs to touch their food, to touch their toys, to touch their shoes, and stuff like this. It's natural for dogs to be territorial, and if your dog is territorial by their house, you don't need to be worried or thinking that something wrong with my dog. It's very instinctual. In this case, if you know that your dog tends to be territorial, you should, and in general, as a general advice, this is a good idea to introduce two dogs outside of your house on a neutral territory. Sometimes for some dogs who are extremely territorial, it should be like in a random place that is not your street, because some dogs consider the street where their house is, like their block, to be partially their territory as well. So what I would do, let's say if both dogs are in general okay being around dogs, I would introduce them in a dog park, basically when they can be unleashed in a very calm day. So when there is not too many people in dog parks, so dogs can go around, they can sniff each other, they can check each other out. Obviously, don't bring them to the dog park that's extremely busy, rowdy, and stuff like this. This is something I discussed in my other videos, how to spot a good dog park, so we're not going to cover it. It doesn't need to be necessarily a dog park. It can be any area where you can unleash your dogs. Maybe it's a huge field that both the dogs are safe to be unleashed. Maybe it's a beach or something like this. Again, this will work for dogs who are in general not reactive, not very aggressive to other dogs. So, it's safe to let them loose. If the area is large enough, it gives the opportunity to the dogs approach each other, get away from each other, so it gives them freedom. Because when you introduce dogs in a closed space or when you introduce them on leash, they tend to be more antsy, more anxious, because they know they're trapped on the leash or they're trapped in this place. And if they want to avoid the confrontation, if they want to avoid the encounter, there is nowhere for them to go. That's why when they have a bigger area, they're gonna do just what naturally dogs do. This will work if both dogs have the same play style, the same, sociability, the same excitement level and stuff like this. If one dog is more pushy, more rowdy, more obnoxious, invades the space of another dog, and the second dog is more timid or just more antisocial, this might not work. What you're gonna do in this case, instead of letting them loose and let one dog bug another dog, we would have a more controlled setup. But before going there, let me finish with the dog park. So what I would do, I would meet on a neutral territory a couple of times to the point that you notice that dogs can approach each other without one of the dogs being reactive to that, without dogs showing any aversive body language. Again, I have the whole video about body language. So you look at the dogs and you can see that both of them are relaxed. They interacting with each other. Nobody's bugging each other. Everyone respecting each other boundaries and stuff like this. And by boundaries, I mean that dogs, like animals in general, there is a certain space around them they consider like sacred, they consider private, and they would usually let dogs they know very well to invade this space, but some dogs they don't like, or some dogs they don't know, or some dogs they don't trust. They prefer those dogs not to enter their territory. If the dog understands the doggy etiquette, they usually can see, for example, one dog is approached, let's say I'm a dog. There is a dog who's approaching me and I don't like that dog. I'm going to stare at them. I'm going to give them stink eye. I might even show some teeth. I might be like I might even snarl. And the other dog, if they understand the dog etiquette, they're going to be like, okay, I understand. You're not like, here to meet and greet. Okay, and they're just going to walk away. And even this like subtle sign of aggression is not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing because one dog is communicating to another dog. If another dog understands this, they just go their merry way and nothing happens. Just keep doing this, keep bringing them to different places. So they just have to be in the same area a couple of times together without anyone forcing their interaction, without anyone pushing, like, go say hi. No, just let them figure it out on their own. Usually after they met a couple of times, even the most shyest, timidest, or like antisocial dog would eventually start trusting because they can see that the other dog is there to just be. They're not there to get them. They're not there to harm them. They're not there to do anything to them. So in the end of the day, they're just going to understand the dog can be trusted because they are not doing any funky business. This is the step number one. After that, I would suggest go for parallel walks. If your dogs can't be trusted off-leash, can't be brought to the dog park, maybe they're a little bit more leash reactive and you don't quite trust them. So the next step to introduce the dogs to have a parallel walk. What it means that you go for a walk together. Ideally choose not a busy day, not a busy street, maybe like an open area, maybe it's like a park with the huge, path, something like wide and open. So it's something not like cramped and tiny, but something wide and open. And you're going to take a walk with dogs. It will be a very structured walk. You're not going to just be on your phone or talking to your friend. You're actually going to be paying attention what's happening and following the rules. What are the rules? The rule number one, during the parallel walk, the dogs are not allowed to interact. Even if they want to interact, even they're pulling to each other, they're not allowed. You hold the leash. Let me grab the leash. Let's say this is my dog on a leash. I hold the leash close to the dog and my dog has to be by my side. If they try to go elsewhere, I gently correct them and bring them back. We don't use any treats for this. We don't involve any food. We just keep the dog by your side without being able to interact with the dog. Another rule is that we're going to be walking. We're not stopping. We're not standing there and figuring out whether my dog wants to walk or not. We're not figuring out which way to go. We don't discuss this. We just obviously agree in the very beginning where we're going to walk. We discuss with that person how we're going to do the walk, and then we're going to go. We're going to walk on a good pace. You don't need to obviously run, but you don't need to be too slow so the dog constantly stops. So it has to be a constant motion. Also, for dogs who are a little bit more leash reactive, we're going to hold a distance. Remember how during pandemic we had a 6-foot distance and we were supposed to stay 6 feet from other people? This is what you're gonna do. You have to stay 6 feet from another person. Imagine we're still back in the lockdown days and that person is infected, so you have to stay 6 feet or more. Obviously depends on your dog reactivity. So what's gonna happen? We're gonna take a walk. What we're gonna do? Okay, let me use my props. I don't know. Okay, let's say it's you. This is your dog. This is another person. And this is another dog. I hope I didn't confuse you. So one more time, dog, person, dog. So between two dogs, we have two people, and also we have a 6 foot, 3 meters space. So this is very important because what can happen if the dogs are walking next to each other, they have more chances to start a weird interaction that we don't want. Start a fight. Again, we're talking especially about leash reactive dogs. So dogs on the sides, people in the middle, there is some space. And we're going to take a 10-minute, 15-minute, 20-minute walk. And usually even if dogs are a little bit, they might even try to lunge towards another dog. They might to try to go there. Obviously, we're not talking about constant barking and going crazy. This is another story for another video. We're talking about dogs who might show a low to mild discomfort, but in general, you see it's not a constant discomfort. They're not escalating. They just kind of like being weirded out that the dog is there, but it's not out of control. So we take a 10-minute walk. If you did everything correctly, if your dog is not a severe reactivity case, even if they're a little bit antsy about each other in the beginning, they're going to eventually get used to other dogs present. And if you walk for 10, 15, 20 minutes, eventually the dog's going to understand, okay, this dog is there. They're not trying to go to me. They're not trying to cross me. They're not out there to get me. They're just there. So they can get used, and they basically have enough time to observe another dog to understand and predict what this other dog gonna do. So eventually your dog and the other dog should relax and just stop paying attention or as much attention to another dog. And they're gonna start sniffing the ground, checking out things and stuff like this. By this time you can reach like, let's say, a field or a park, an open area where you can just let dogs sniff the ground without letting them come too close to each other. Again, depends on your dog, depends on the other dog, depends like on the whole like set of issues. Sometimes dogs only need one walk before they can be introduced. Sometimes some dogs need a couple of times with the same dog until they can trust. So it's about trust issue. It's about being able to predict what other dog is doing and starting trusting the dog after that. Let's wrap up. So if we have a very mild case of dogs that might not like each other, we start by introducing them on neutral territory. We either off-leash them somewhere in a dog park, on a hike, if they can be unleashed and if they like just getting enough space to move around without bumping into each other, or we do a parallel walk when we don't let them interact with each other for one walk or for a couple of walks. And then when we're going to bring the dogs in, let's say this is the dog, like let's say I'm watching my friend's dog and I need to bring them into my house. So what I would do, I would, have a couple of walks or a couple of introductions. And then when we're going to pick up my friend's dog, I gonna take both of the dogs for a walk. So they are tired, they're nicely exhausted, maybe they even off-leash interacted with each other. Only after that, I'm gonna bring them in the house. The mistake would be just keep your dog at home and then bring another dog who's like very excited, very hyper, wants to play, to bring into your house and then get them in trouble. So like when you're picking up another dog, you take them for a walk. Ideally, you need another person to help you. So in case if you need to do a parallel walk, you get them exhausted, you get them tired, get them to spend enough time together, and then you bring them home. Before bringing them home, ideally, you also prepped your house. Most aggression in dogs happens around resources. They may protect their toys, as I said. They may protect their food. Some dogs guard their food bowl. So what you can do if you feel a little bit suspicious about your dog or another dog, just remove everything that they can have competition about. You can even temporarily remove a dog bed if your dog guards the bed. If your dog tends to guard the couch or something like this, just block their access. So basically put something on the couch or put a gate around the couch. So basically there is no contention areas for them. And then you're going to first bring the dog who is new. Just maybe let them for 5 minutes, let them loose in the house so they can smell around, they can explore. Because while they're exploring, the main dog, the owner dog, might feel like uncomfortable, like why this random dog is exploring my area. So for some cases, we almost need to let the new dog explore the house and get used to the house while keeping the owner dog outside of the house. And then you bring the owner dog. So in this case also, what we can avoid, what happens often that if I am the owner of this house, I'm a dog, I'm sitting there and I'm watching somebody enter through the door, I might get a little bit weirded out about that. But if that dog is already there and I'm the second dog to walk in, I'm not protecting anything because already there is somebody in there. So it's interesting like dog psychology that if your dog tends to guard spaces, always make sure they are the last one to enter when everyone is already in the area, and this will eliminate lots of resource guarding because it's hard to guard something when people already claimed it before you or dogs claimed it before you. So this is how you would go about it. Obviously in some situations it can be a little bit harder than that, or maybe dogs still have some fights, some conflicts in the house. In this case, that's probably a story for another video. Or if you're dealing with this issue, you can always contact me. I give online consultations, and you can also hire me for in-person dog training and behavior consults here in San Francisco Bay Area. See you in my next video.
la